What's up, guys? My name is Solomon Colvin. Welcome to my channel, Bionic Lifts. I'm super stoked that you're here. I'm ready to lift some heavy weight, but a little bit of fun facts before we start lifting some actual weight on this bar is that I've been a double amputee since the age of 4, but as you can see, I didn't let that stop me from lifting heavy weight, and I don't think any challenge in your life should necessarily stop you from hitting some massive PR goals. Now, one of the things though that I want to share though with that is that not everyone is the same. Obviously, the challenges I deal with are going to be a little bit different than the challenges you deal with. My channel is going to be primarily here to motivate people who have joint problems and disabilities to go out and just push in the gym and set some new strength goals for themselves. But honestly, the tips and tricks that I share with you, even if you don't have a disability, I would highly encourage you, just try it out. I mean, some of the tips might not work, some of the tips might work. So, you know, that's the beauty of life, is you can just take some time, try some new things out. But honestly, my goal and my overarching goal is just to see any viewer who's viewing this video to get some new fitness goals and to be able to hit some new strength goals. Now, one of the first things I want to share though that is super key when you walk into any gym is mindset. There's a lot of people, and it might be you, because it was also me at one point, who are just intimidated about going to the gym. You're always worried what people are gonna think of you, are people gonna like you, and you become kind of unsure. Well, I wanna tell you, don't think about others. When you go to the gym, it should be, like, in your mindset, all about improving yourself and not necessarily what other people think. So if you have that in mindset, you already have one of the biggest steps about going to the gym and hitting a massive PR. The other step is just having a killer mindset. When you go to the gym, you need to be focused. A lot of people go to the gym kind of half-heartedly. They're kind of like, well, I want to see strength, but they don't necessarily set goals for themselves. A killer mindset, in my opinion, is someone who goes to the gym or does anything in life with goals. And goals are super key and important. They provide you benchmarks and ways to see if you've had progress, because otherwise it's really hard to measure progress. And if you don't see progress, as you probably already know in your life, if you don't see progress in a certain area, you just cut it out of your life, which is why it's really important to establish benchmarks and goals. All right, now that we've gone through the fundamentals, let's go and lift some weight. One of the first things though I want to show you is grip. So when people do a bench press, there's a couple different grips you can do. There's 3 primarily that I see people use, one of which is where it's the traditional, what I would say is the traditional grip, where you kind of have the thumb over your finger like this. Another grip that people use is where they slide their thumb back and they go like this, but as you can probably see, some problems with this grip is that it can easily fall out of your hand. So I don't really like that one. I don't really suggest that to beginners. If you get more intermediate, sometimes people say that it can help them lift heavier weight. I'm gonna leave that one up to you. I just don't think it's that safe. And then the other one is where you take your thumb and you wrap your fingers over your thumb. In my opinion, this is the most secure, but it feels really awkward. So maybe when you're starting out, you might want to start with this one because it's the most secure and it will ensure that the weight doesn't drop on you. So, what do I do to warm up though on the bench press? What I do to warm up on the bench press is I generally just start with a bar or start with something super light, and all it is just getting flexible, getting your arms warmed up. You don't want to start with a heavy weight on bench press. Some people say that you do, and I think that just leaves you prone for injury. So something that I do is just a few. You don't have to do like 60 reps of this to be warmed up. You just do a few, make sure that your arms are warmed up, your chest is warmed up, and that your joints are warmed up. After that, let's load on some weight. But what's really key though is as you increase the weight on your bench press, you want to make sure that there's somebody that can spot you just in case you have a freak accident. Because we never know what's going to happen, and you don't want to have the bar on your throat and then become a rare statistic of somebody dying in the gym. So I never want to see one of my viewers end up in the hospital. So just definitely, as you increase your weight on the bench press, make sure you have a spotter, and then you should be good. Now, one of the first things though that is a difference to people who have actual legs and not prosthetics is leg placement. So a lot of people ask me what I do with my legs. Well, I kind of do what other people do. It's just that I have less leg drive. Now, if I bench press with my leg kind of out like this on the ground, that's gonna be extremely hard for me to bench press. So the key is you might not necessarily have the same leg drive as someone who has an actual leg, but the key is to still create a firm foundation to start your bench press on. So for instance, you wanna make sure that to the best of your ability, your foot has more weight on the front of it, or if it's flat, you wanna make sure that it's flat. You don't want to be on your heel because you'll lose traction if you're on your heel. So once you have a flat footing on the ground, you want to make sure that when you grip the bar, it's kind of like this, like this. You don't want it too close because that becomes a lot harder on your body, and you don't want it too far because you can literally injure your pec right here, and in some cases rip your pec, and I don't think you want any of those. So you want to make sure that it's in a nice, comfortable position where you can kind of like, I would say this is the general rule of thumb of having this much angle in your arm at the lowest point. So once you find that comfortable position, you want to make sure that for normal people, they always say keep your butt on the bench, which is obviously important and key. But if your disability makes it hard for you to keep your butt on the bench, just try to keep it as close to the bench as possible. It also helps avoid back injury if you do that. Also, you want to, in my opinion, especially if you have a disability, put a lot of the pressure on your back. Like in this sense, like on your shoulder blades, because that's where you need to put most of the pressure on, is your shoulder blades, and if you can, a little bit on your foot. And then after that, you just lift off, and it's really key, whatever weight you're doing, not to just speed into a rep. You want to make sure that you kind of slowly ease into it. Make sure your arms are ready for the weight that you're pressing, because it's really key to know your body and know that what you can do. And sometimes when you just rush into a workout, you can easily injure yourself. So this is why it's key to warm up and to not do anything really insanely quick in the gym, because if you don't warm up and you do things quick, those are easy ways to get yourself a ticket straight to the hospital, or at least just putting yourself out of the gym and having an injury that you have to deal with, and that's never fun. Now, in a later video, I'll show you my tips and tricks when we go heavier on the bench press, but those simple tips and tricks should help you get started on the bench press, help you feel safe and secure. As you can see, I think a little side note tip that I'll give is at whatever level you're at, I truly think that you should wear wrist wraps when you do bench press. It just prevents injuries on your wrists. Some people might say, well, that doesn't help me strengthen my wrists. Either way, you just want to make sure your body is protected from injuries, and wrist wraps really help prevent injuries. I've had a few injuries when I wasn't using wrist wraps on my wrists, and they're gonna come back and bite you later. So make sure you get the protective equipment now. Get those wrist wraps. Like I said, make sure your foot form is good, make sure your arm spread is good, and your grip. Don't do the suicide grip, because like even the name alone just sounds scary to do. But for beginners especially, it'll slip out of your hand and you're gonna have like a weird bruise across your chest. So nobody wants that. I mean, the summer's coming up right here, and you wanna be in your best condition and you don't wanna be injured. And so if you just follow those tips and tricks, you should be able to get at least started on the bench press and started on your journey. I would say if you're out somewhere like here, one plate, and that's kind of a struggle, like you can only do 8 to 10, I would say try to set the goal of 155 in 3 months or 2 months. That's quite doable. It's obviously really key to set goals, like I said at the beginning, and setting goals kind of also gives you a drive behind everything you do in the gym. And if you follow those tips and tricks, your bench press should be going up over the next couple weeks. Obviously, progress takes time, so don't get discouraged if you don't see any progress in a week or two. Can't wait to submit another video to you all here in the next couple days. So stay tuned, stay hungry, and keep pushing heavy weight. See you on the next one.